In a bustling market of Amangu community, there lived a man named Olisa. He was a butcher. He made a living by cutting and selling meats. Olisa worked very hard every day, trying to give his family a better life. But despite all his hard work, he struggled. He had lots of problems. The market was filled with other meat sellers competing to sell their meats. The competition made it difficult for Olisa to make sales. He didn't make enough money to cater for his family. He lived with his wife Adama and their young son, who attends a prestigious school, but their fees were extremely expensive. Olisa didn't know how to afford the fees for his son. He wanted his son to be educated and secure a good future, but it seemed impossible with the little money he makes from his meat sales. Olisa woke up very early in the morning and goes to the market. He would set up his stall and place the meat neatly on his table and make sure his knives were sharp, and then wait for customers to arrive. People would often pass his stall and go buy from the other meat vendors. This made Olisa sad and worried. He would complain to his wife Adama, who would try to console him. "Don't worry, my husband. God's time is the best. Let's keep hoping on God. He will surely answer our prayers someday." Olisa wanted to believe her, but he had seen enough bad days. Every day seems to bring one problem or the other. Olisa always felt sad anytime he returns home at night. He felt he wasn't doing enough for his wife and son. He thought to himself, "How can I provide for my family and take care of them if I can't make any sales?" Days turned into weeks and into months, but there was no changes. Olisa felt like he was stuck. He made little or no sales, unable to cater for his family. This made him weak and tired. He had lost hope already. He was just seated, looking at the world, with no hope for a better life. But he kept grinding. He sat at his stall one morning. He hadn't made any sale at all. This made him very sad. He was just sitting, thinking about his life. Few minutes later, he heard someone call out his name. "Olisa, is that you?" Olisa looked up and saw his old schoolmate Ekene. He hadn't seen Ekene since they finished high school. He looked very rich and dashing now. Olisa felt ashamed of himself, seeing his age mate looking very rich and dashing. "Ekene, how are you? What are you doing here?" Olisa asked. Ekene smiled and said, "I came to see my mother. But look at you. You haven't changed a bit after all these years. How is your business going?" Olisa didn't want to pretend to be happy while he's actually struggling. "My brother," Olisa began, "things are very hard for me. I make little or no sales here. Seeing there are other meat sellers around, I barely feed my family nor do the necessary things in my family." Ekene's smile faded. "I'm so sorry to hear that, Olisa. You're really suffering now," he said. "Come over to my house tomorrow morning. Let's talk and see how I can help." "I'll be there, my good friend. Thank you so much," Olisa said, looking happy. The next morning, Olisa got ready excitedly and went to Ekene's house. When he got there, Ekene welcomed him warmly. "It's good you are here, my friend. I know you have struggled so much, but I know a way to help you out," Ekene said. "Really? But how?" Olisa asked. "I know a herbalist that can help you. He has helped a lot of people, and he even helped me. I'm sure he can help you out too," Ekene replied. Olisa was both excited and nervous. He didn't know whether he should check him out or not. Ekene told him to think about it and gave him the address of the herbalist. Olisa got home that night, but couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what his old friend said to him. He didn't know whether he is to heed to what his wife said to him and hope on God, or to try visiting the herbalist his friend suggested. For days, He kept thinking about the herbalist. He thought to himself, should I visit the herbalist or not? But I've been patient enough. It seems like God has abandoned me. Maybe I should try something new. If I fail to pay my son's school fees in the next few days, he might be sent out of school. No, I can't allow that to happen. I must do something, and fast. Olisa made up his mind to see the herbalist. Early the next morning, Olisa set out to meet the herbalist. It was a long journey. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, Olisa got to a small hut at the edge of the village river. The air smelled of herbs and smoke. His heart was beating fast, but he gathered courage and entered the hut. He was welcomed by an old man. "Welcome, my son. I have been waiting for you, Olisa," the old man said. Olisa was startled, hearing his name from the old man. "How did you know my name?" Olisa asked. The old man smiled and said, "Nothing is hidden from the eyes of the gods. Sit down." The hut is dark and was filled with wooden carvings and candles. Olisa sat down, his body shaking. The old man turned to him. "You want to be rich and successful, right?" the old man asked. Olisa nodded, his voice breaking. Yes, he answered. "Can you help?" The old man smiled and said, "There is nothing that is difficult for the gods to do. I can help you, but it has a price. Are you ready to pay the price, no matter what?" the old man asked, looking serious. Olisa thought hard about his family and their financial struggles. "Yes, I'll do anything," he said. The herbalist looked at him and said, "I will give you something that will make you rich." He gave Olisa a calabash to drink from. Olisa took the calabash from him, shaking as he drank the contents of the calabash. After he drank it, the herbalist continued, "But in return, you must give up something." Olisa's heart was beating very fast. "What is it that you want in return?" Olisa asked, shivering. Then the herbalist turned to him and told him the horrible deal. "The deal is simple. Anytime you sell meat in the market, your wife Adama will lose a part of her body. It might not be physical, but she will definitely lose a part of her body, spiritual, and it will affect her physical. She might not walk or move things or even see." Olisa was horrified on hearing that. "No, I can't hurt my wife like that." The herbalist shrugged. "There is no going back now. It's either you do it or you die, together with your precious son and wife." Olisa was scared. He didn't care about his life, but he can't bear to see anything happen to his son and wife. He decided to do it, and when he gets enough money, he can take his wife to the best doctors. "I'll do it," Olisa said. They performed a ritual. The herbalist gave him a necklace to keep in his room when he returns home. "Keep this carefully in your room and don't let any eyes to see it, or you will run mad," the herbalist warned. As Olisa walked home, he struggled to convince himself that he was doing the right thing. "I'm doing this for my family. Adama will understand. We will get over this," he thought to himself. The next morning, Olisa got to the market, but things changed. People started buying from him. People would flock to his shop. Before he knew what was happening, he has sold out everything. He sold out all the meat he has every day. He made more money that he has never seen before. This made Olisa so happy. He could pay his son's fees and provide for his family. But then, strange things began happening to Adama. At first, she complained that she can't feel her right hand. A few days later, she complained of her right leg. She started having troubles walking. Olisa became worried. He knew that he was responsible for what's happening to Adama, but he consoled her and convinced her that she would be fine. She was confined to a wheelchair. As Olisa grew richer, The whole village noticed and whispered among themselves, how did Olisa, a poor butcher, made so much money in a short while? Some said he might be into rituals. Otherwise, how could he have made so much money in a little while? Adama was sad and worried about her condition. She asked Olisa if they could see a doctor, but he kept giving her excuses. He felt guilty, but there was nothing he could do. He felt that it was a small price for their good living. Olisa bought a big house and lots of nice things, but he wasn't happy. He didn't have the courage to look Adama in the eye anymore. Adama, still worried about her situation, thought of going to the church to pray. She had tried taking medications, but nothing was working. She made her son wheel her to church after he returned from school in the evening. There she would join the church program and pray herself out. Olisa would look at his cars and big mansions, but it didn't make him happy seeing how his wife was suffering so much. Anytime he went to markets, people whispered about him, saying all sorts of things against him. One day, as he was selling his meat, he heard two women gossiping. "Have you heard?" one woman said. "Olisa's wife is very sick." "Yes," the other woman replied. My sister, wonder shall never cease to end. Just look at her husband Olisa getting richer by the day, and yet his wife is dying of sickness. This is not good at all. Olisa felt bad hearing that. He got angry and went home. Adama kept going to the church every day with the help of her son, praying hard with the hope that God will intervene on her behalf. One day, as Adama was sorting out her husband's clothes for laundry, a necklace fell out from one of his pockets. She picked it up to properly look at it, as it wasn't familiar. Immediately, she felt a sensation in her body. Suddenly, she was able to move her body, and gradually, she was able to stand on her feet. Adama shouted for joy and thanked God for his divine healing. She rushed to the living room to get her phone and share the good news with her husband. Meanwhile, Olisa was at the market selling his meat when he felt a sensation in his body. The next minute, he started laughing out loud. People became confused seeing him in that state. The next thing, he tore his clothes and ran mad. As Adama was about calling Olisa, she was interrupted by a noise from a woman calling out her name. She came out and asked the woman why she was shouting. Your husband is running mad in the market," the woman said, her voice shaking. Adama shouted and ran out of the compound to the market. When she got there, her heart broke seeing her husband running mad. She began to cry. She rushed to the church and informed the pastor, her voice breaking. "Pastor, my husband is running mad in the market. Please help us. Please help us, Pastor." The pastor ordered some boys to go bring him to the church. He was brought to the church where the pastor prayed for him for hours until he regained his senses. The pastor ordered him to confess and be free from his sins. Olisa turned to his wife, who was crying bitterly. "Please, my lovely wife, forgive me. I'm so sorry for causing you pains. It wasn't my intentions." Adama looked at him surprised. "Forgive you for what?" she asked softly. Olisa narrated everything to her. "I did it for our family. Please forgive me." Adama stared at Olisa, shocked to death. "You mean you did this to me? All because of money? How could you, Olisa? I loved you and married you, even when my family disapproved of it. I struggled with you, and this is how you paid me back," Adama said, crying bitterly. Olisa bowed his head in shame. "I'm so sorry, my love." The pastor turned to Adama. "Please forgive him. God gave you another chance and healed you. The Bible says that we should forgive those who have trespassed against us, so that the Almighty in heaven can forgive our sins as well. Please forgive him. Adama cried bitterly and turned to Olisa. I forgive you, she said softly, but I won't be able to live under the same roof with you again. I'm moving on with my life and I'm taking our son along. You can come visit him, but we won't stay married anymore. The next few days was difficult for Olisa. He stayed in isolation, trying to move on from his mistakes. The story spread throughout the village, with everyone whispering about it and isolating themselves from Olisa. He decided to move to another village to start afresh. He began struggling again from scratch. Adama raised her son and taught him valuable lessons to avoid him making mistakes in the future. This teaches us to be contented with what we have and put all our faith in God. Eventually, things will turn out fine. A devil's gift appears appealing at first, but ultimately leads to loss and destruction. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video, comment what you have learned from the tale, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting tales just like this one. See you on the next one. Thank you and God bless. Bye.